Think Again, The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know by Adam Grant. Rethinking is not a new concept. Essentially, it means learning to reflect, revisiting thoughts, and self-examining. Since childhood, we've been taught the importance of introspection, which helps us identify our shortcomings and continually refine ourselves. This is a universally understood principle. So, why did the author need to write a book on this topic? The author of this book, Adam Grant, is a professor of organizational psychology at Wharton. He has been honored as the school's most popular lecturer for 7 consecutive years and recognized as one of the 10 most influential management thinkers globally. Besides his academic achievements, he is an accomplished writer with works like Originals, which has sold over 2 million copies. Adam Grant's extensive experience in teaching and research led him to discover that people might need to be more skilled at rethinking than they believe, and they often need more tools for rethinking. For example, some individuals spend over a decade working a job they dislike to meet their parents' expectations. They lock their life's navigation system onto a single goal and always continue to reconsider what they truly enjoy, what suits them, or what they want to gain from their work. Consequently, they follow what seems to be the right path, but arrive at the wrong destination. Another example is that determined mountaineers are more likely to perish during expeditions. It is because they are resolute in reaching the summit at any cost, forgetting that the best form of determination is to have the courage to turn back. In some sense, we are all conservative thinkers at the level of new ideas. Instead of struggling with new concepts, adhering to old ones is often easier. So, how can we break free from the confines of our thinking and engage in rethinking? According to the author, the key lies in separation, specifically, separating your past self from your present self and your viewpoints from your identity. Part 1. Let us explore with the author 3 typical cases that hinder us from rethinking and finding ways to reconsider. Part 2. We will witness how the power of rethinking is passed on to others through an exceptional debate, encouraging more people to rethink. Case 1. BlackBerry's downfall. First, let's look at how a successful entrepreneur missed multiple opportunities and was ultimately left behind by the times due to a need for rethinking. Mike Lazaridis was BlackBerry's inventor, founder, and CEO, a visionary who dreamed of changing the wireless communication industry. 1999 BlackBerry smartphones were introduced, featuring a full keyboard, exclusive email services, and a secure and reliable system. These features made BlackBerry a global leader in smartphones for a long time. Everyone, from corporate executives to Hollywood stars, wanted a BlackBerry. By the summer of 2009, BlackBerry held nearly half of the U.S. smartphone market. However, just 5 years later, in 2014, BlackBerry's market share plummeted to less than 1%. What happened during this time? In 2007, Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone with a touchscreen and no physical keyboard. Lazaridis didn't consider this a threat. In 2008, the global market shifted from 2G to 3G, and smartphones began to combine internet and mobile capabilities. Apple and Android launched open app stores, but Lazaridis believed people needed a phone primarily for email and calls. In 2010, BlackBerry abandoned instant messaging, missing out on an app like WhatsApp, which became a global sensation. Lazaridis's reluctance to rethink stemmed from BlackBerry symbolizing his self-identity. Rethinking threatened his sense of self. Just like firefighters who seldom discard their equipment to save themselves during wildfires, fearing a loss of identity, Lazaridis clung to his vision of BlackBerry, which ultimately hindered his ability to adapt. So, how should we approach rethinking in a rapidly changing environment? According to the author, the key is to separate the past from the present you and to separate your views from your identity. Separating the past from the present means embracing mistakes and accepting the unknown. Instead of fearing mistakes, view them as opportunities for growth. It's essential to enjoy moments of error because they provide a chance to revise and upgrade your pre-existing beliefs. You are separating your views from your identity by your values rather than your opinions. This way, rethinking new ideas will be okay with your self-identity. Embrace self-doubt to improve tools and methods without feeling like it undermines your self-worth. Case 2: Overcoming imposter syndrome. Now, let's explore how a presidential candidate with little chance of winning turned imposter syndrome into an advantage to defeat competitors. In psychology, there's a phenomenon called imposter syndrome, where individuals doubt their abilities and feel undeserving of their achievements. Halldóra Jónsdóttir, a successful entrepreneur and one of Iceland's presidential candidates in 2016, experienced imposter syndrome when she was unexpectedly asked to run for president. Halldóra had impressive leadership and decision-making skills, but lacked political experience. When she received the offer to run for president, her initial reaction wasn't excitement but self-doubt. She wondered how she could become a president. Despite her remarkable qualifications, she hesitated for a long time. Halldóra eventually decided to run for president with the encouragement of friends and family. She faced over 20 competitors, including one strong opponent, Davíð Oddsson, who was overconfident in his abilities. Oddsson believed he was exceptionally qualified for the presidency, even though he was considered one of the culprits behind Iceland's severe financial crisis. Ultimately, Halldóra didn't win the presidency but surpassed many competitors, securing over 25% of the votes and finishing second. After the campaign, she interpreted self-doubt differently, believing that doubt doesn't question one's abilities but implies a need for improvement in tools and methods. While other candidates were content with traditional media coverage on TV and newspapers, Hera adopted unconventional strategies: social media. He would personally respond to messages on social media, engage in live interactions on Facebook late at night, and experiment with video software to connect with a younger audience. These actions resonated strongly with voters and garnered her more support. We don't need to be plagued by imposter syndrome, constantly self-doubting ourselves. Instead, we can find the key to help us reconsider our positions. Striking a balance between overconfidence and excessive humility is crucial. Just as Hera did. Arrogance closes our eyes to our weaknesses, while humility serves as a mirror that reflects them. Self-confidence and humility act as a corrective lens, empowering us to overcome our shortcomings. Case 3: The power of challenging teams. Now, let's look at how a team entire of conflict and struggle harnessed the power of rethinking to create an Oscar-winning animated film. In 1995, Pixar released its first feature-length animated film, Toy Story, which became a box office hit, grossing $360 million worldwide. However, Pixar's founders sought to push boundaries and make a difference. In 2000, they invited director Brad Bird to lead a transformation. Brad had an ambitious vision to create a superhero movie with cutting-edge animation techniques, realistic rendering of explosions, and intricate details like human hair. This vision faced resistance from Pixar's technical team, who believed it would take a decade and $500 million to accomplish. It seemed unrealistic. Brad didn't give up. Instead, he formed a team of challengers, individuals within the company who had alternative ways of doing things and felt frustrated due to being unable to utilize their skills fully. These team members were known for being critical and nitpicky. They questioned even the minor details, like how far a character's hairline should recede. Yet, they shared a common goal: making the movie exceptional. They brainstormed, found cost-effective alternatives for expensive technologies, and discovered creative solutions to challenging problems. After 14 years and a budget of less than $100 million, The Incredibles was released, earning over $600 million at the box office and winning an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Brad's approach was unconventional. Instead of striving for a harmonious team with no conflicts, he built a team filled with challenging individuals. These individuals questioned each other's ideas but engaged in task conflicts rather than personal conflicts. This approach fostered creativity and rethinking. In summary, to encourage more people to rethink. 1. Promote self-confidence with humility, believing your ability to achieve your goals while remaining open to questioning your methods. 2. Embrace self-doubt as an opportunity for growth. View self-doubt as a chance to improve tools and methods, not as an attack on your self-worth. 3. Foster constructive conflicts. Encourage team task conflicts to stimulate creativity and innovative thinking rather than avoid disputes altogether. Now, let's explore how to encourage more people to engage in rethinking. It is particularly important because it directly affects our daily lives. For instance, when we want to persuade leaders to accept our proposals, convince our parents not to buy unnecessary health supplements, or advise children to spend less time playing video games, we often struggle to get our point across. So this is the time when you need to find ways to make others rethink their perspectives and embrace your viewpoint. One effective way to make people reconsider their positions is through debates, and we can learn valuable lessons on how to encourage rethinking from these debates. In February 2019, in San Francisco, USA, there was a remarkable debate between one of the top British debaters, Harish, and an AI debater developed by IBM called Debatra. The discussion centered around whether preschool education should receive financial subsidies from the government. Before the debate started, the audience overwhelmingly supported the proposition, AI debater, with a support rate of 79%, while only 13% supported the opposition, Harish. However, after the debate, AI debater's support decreased to 62%, while Harish's support increased to 30%, ultimately leading to Harish's victory. He managed to persuade some members of the audience to reconsider their stance. So, how did he achieve this, and what can we learn from the art of debate? Debatra was familiar with debates. It had a track record of performances comparable to, or even better than, human debaters in some aspects. Its knowledge base comprised 400 million articles, mainly from reputable newspapers and magazines. It could use an argument detection engine to identify critical arguments, define the scope of the topic, and weigh the evidence. Debatra was positioned on the affirmative side, arguing for government subsidies for preschool education. During the debate, Debatra, representing the affirmative side, presented its arguments with a wealth of evidence from academic, societal, and professional perspectives, explaining the benefits of preschool education in the United States. It highlighted how quality preschool education could help children overcome the disadvantages associated with poverty, among other things. In response to Debatra's compelling arguments, Harish, representing the opposing side, took time to articulate his viewpoint or counterarguments. Instead, he emphasized areas of agreement between himself and Debatra, acknowledging the validity of Debatra's referenced studies and findings. Harish said, "I think our differences on this issue are probably not as large as they may seem." This strategic move by Harish is quite insightful. Many of us present our viewpoints when we seek to persuade others immediately. For example, if you want to convince a friend to smoke less, you might say, "Why do you even smoke? It's bad for your health. Look at what happened to so-and-so." You might believe you've made a rational argument, but your friend may think, "Why do you tell me what to do? You don't even know why I smoke." In such cases, your arguments may be brushed aside. Therefore, to make someone rethink, one must be willing to review oneself. In essence, this involves learning the art of active listening and empathy. It doesn't mean you must agree with the other person's perspective. Instead, you are trying to understand their feelings and thoughts. The advantage of this approach is that it brings both parties to a level playing field for communication rather than trying to establish who is right or wrong. By acknowledging areas of agreement and showing that you've learned something from their viewpoint, you demonstrate your openness and lower the other person's defenses, encouraging them to delve deeper into their beliefs. Moreover, Harish had another advantage stemming from his limitations. Compared to AI debater Debatra, he couldn't access vast information. Faced with Debatra's extensive list of reasons supporting government subsidies for preschool education, Harish provided just two counterarguments. First, he argued that subsidizing preschool education might not effectively address the harms caused by poverty because government resources are limited. So, preschool education may not be the top priority for government funding. Second, Harish pointed out that even with subsidies, preschool education might become somewhat accessible, and underprivileged children might still need help to afford quality preschool programs. So, he questioned how such subsidies would effectively reduce poverty. What can we learn from the debate of Harish? Many people believe that presenting more reasons will tilt the balance in their favor during negotiations. However, the author says seasoned negotiators tend to provide fewer reasons. The author experimented with colleagues to test the impact of different persuasive reasons on the rate of donations from alums who had never contributed to their school. They used two types of compelling reasons, one emphasizing how the funds would benefit students, teachers, and staff at the school, and the other emphasizing that donating would make the donors feel good. The results showed that when only one of these reasons was presented, 6.5% of alums ultimately donated. However, the donation rate dropped below 3% when both reasons were given together. One reason was twice as compelling as presenting both. Why did this happen? The author explains that a single argument is like a conversation, whereas multiple arguments can form an attack that makes people defensive. This is a common occurrence in everyday life. For instance, in a disagreement between a couple that starts as a calm discussion, if one person starts bringing up past grievances and listing many reasons, the situation can quickly escalate into a heated argument. Providing too many reasons makes people feel attacked and makes it challenging to reconsider their positions. Furthermore, it may provide openings for the other party to find flaws in the arguments. During the debate, Harish emphasized that too many points could dilute the strength of each argument. He suggested that the audience might only accept some arguments. Instead, the quality of the points and the importance of the topic were crucial. If any argument is refuted, the entire viewpoint could be undermined. So, it is better to encourage rethinking rather than reinforce the audience's beliefs. In reality, we seldom convince others to change their minds. Psychologists have found that making one change one's mind is oneself. How can this be achieved? The answer lies in asking questions that prompt others to rethink their perspectives. During the debate, Harish didn't simply use declarative statements to counterattack, he used many questions. He began by stating his viewpoint, acknowledging that just because preschool education is beneficial doesn't necessarily mean the U.S. government should subsidize it. Then, he posed questions: is there an inadequate supply of preschool education in the United States? Is it effectively helping the most disadvantaged groups? Why is preschool education in the United States so expensive? Who are the actual beneficiaries? Harish encouraged the audience to engage in independent thinking by asking the audience questions. Asking questions isn't about convincing others, it's about getting them to open up and consider that they might be wrong, initiating a cycle of rethinking. In summary, a debate is not a tug-of-war where exerting more force will pull the opponent to your side. Instead, it's more like an unchoreographed dance where you must coordinate with a partner with a different rhythm. If you're too aggressive, your partner will resist. You'll find common ground if you can adjust your steps to match theirs and encourage them to do the same.